So, what do you think about this? Why the murder charge? Let's bring in Heather Hansen, our attorney, to talk about it.
Yeah, it's summertime, and unfortunately, we see a lot of these stories every summer, Heather.
It's really, really difficult, and sometimes parents are leaving their kids in the car by accident. You know, it happens sometimes on purpose. Sometimes people are using their cars as a cheap form of daycare, which is never a good idea. We saw it a lot last summer when people were gambling and leaving their kids in the cars.
Right.
And, you know, depending on the circumstances, Sue, it is sometimes prosecuted as a crime and sometimes it's not.
Well, yeah, a lot of times it's not. They just have to live with the grief for the rest of their life. But this guy's charged with murder. Now, why that? I mean, is anybody thinking that he purposely left the kid back there to die?
That seems to be the thought, Mike. You know,
well, the Google search,
well, that's right,
that doesn't
Casey.
help his case.
That's right.
But when did he do the search?
Apparently, he searched how long it took for an animal to die in a car. If that is true, and
when?
They don't say. They're not saying a lot of things, Mike. Apparently, he also went back to the car at some point in the day. I think that they're still compiling evidence to determine whether or not they're actually going to pursue this all the way. You know, it's a felony murder charge that he's been charged with, in child endangerment as well. So there's things that they have to determine. The autopsy just came back. The child definitely died as a result of what's called hyperthermia, which is when the child gets too hot. So this case is different. It's different than a lot of the other cases you see where it's negligent homicide, child endangerment, reckless endangerment. This seems like it could have been intentional, and if so, felony murder is certainly appropriate.
Well, Heather, if it is intentional, if it is accidental, it doesn't matter. I mean, 44 deaths last year, according to kidsincars.org, just from hyperthermia. This year, last month alone, 7 babies died in the car. This month alone, 3 babies died, this baby being the 3rd. When does something like the Rice University smart baby seat become mandatory in all vehicles?
It's a great question, Casey. You know, they've been pushing for this. The different nonprofit groups that are on top of this have been pushing for this for years. The car companies seem to be against it because they're afraid about liability. If the thing doesn't work, can they be sued if a child dies? But it certainly seems like a no-brainer. I mean, we used to have babies in the front seat with the parents, and then with airbags, we moved them to the back. Then they turned the babies around so the parents can't see the child in the back, and it seems to have increased the number of times. I mean, 15 to 25 times a year, a child is left in the car.
Yeah, if they're sleeping, you can forget they're there.
Well, they're sleeping, and you go, you know, I think I'll just run into Wawa here. It's so hot, I don't want to take them out.
Well, and those are sort of two different situations. When you purposefully leave the child, that's one thing. But with stress and sleep deprivation for new parents, a lot of times this is just done by accident. You know, there's a lot of things online about ways that you can try to prevent this. Leave your cell phone back by the baby so that you, first of all, aren't texting and driving, and second of all, remember the phone. I mean, it's a terrible thing to think that you remember the phone over a child, but in your routine it can happen, apparently.
Well, if this guy did this on purpose, he should just rot in jail.
Absolutely.
A hot jail cell.
Without a doubt, a hot jail cell is right.
All right, Heather.
Thanks, guys.
7:39. Hey, still ahead. Having babies later on in life. We had the story yesterday. Could actually make you a healthier woman. I don't know. We need to do more investigation.